Welcome to the Your Illini Nation pregame show. Brett Barron's here in studio at Channel 3. We have Marley Weirda and Derek Piper from Illini Inquirer joining us live here in just a couple of minutes from Indianapolis. It is Championship Sunday as Illinois is looking to win a Big Ten tournament championship and maybe make up a little bit after not winning the regular season title. Michigan won that despite Illinois having a 16-4 record, the most wins in the conference this season. Illinois has not been in this spot since 2008. They haven't won a Big Ten tournament title since 2005, and it's only happened 2 times in school history, and the latest back in 2005. So Illinois looking to once again make some more history today and once again take another step forward in this program, as they are certainly going to be a 1 seed. It's Selection Sunday. It feels so good to say that after last year was canceled, and so Illinois will assuredly hear itself as a 1 seed tonight. Could they be playing for the number 2 overall seed today? Is it already in the books? Let's go out to Indianapolis and join Marley and Derek. Guys, what's the first word from there? Looks like a decent day for a championship game, huh?
Yeah, a decent day, an exciting day. We live to see another pregame show, 3 straight, but here we are and happier than ever, I guess, that we get to cover this historic run for Illinois as we get ready for Championship Sunday and Selection Sunday. Nonetheless, I think it'll just be really cool for this team, you know, after they leave the court tonight, whether that's with a win or a loss, but to hear their name on the NCAA selection show, something that hasn't been done in a long time. So I'm certainly excited. Derek, how about you?
Yeah, absolutely. Selection Sunday, it's something that we obviously missed last year, and it's going to be a monumental moment for the program to be on that show. First time 2013, 1 seed for just the 4th time in program history. It's going to be a great day regardless of what happens here on the court, but this team wants to sit back and listen to Greg Gumbel give that introduction with that big trophy sitting right next to them. They came in on a mission this week to show that they're the best team in the Big Ten. Michigan's out, not here to really go battle with those two, but I think Illinois can definitely stake that claim by being able to win against Ohio State today and just continue this dominant run that they are on. And man, it's just been impressive, and here we are.
And certainly will be a physical matchup as Illinois gets ready to take on the Buckeyes today.
Marley, this is really what everyone's been waiting for, I think, to get to this point and to be in a position where Illinois is one of the best teams in the country. They're playing an Ohio State team that they just faced a little more than a week ago. We were both in Columbus to see that game. Derek was there as well. What do you guys remember about that game, and how do you think it can be used today, either for Illinois' advantage or disadvantage, playing a team you just beat less than or a little more than a week ago?
Yeah, with Io making that epic return, and clearly we remember his closing time moments, being able to step up and get that and one. DeMonte Williams hits a big 3, and we talked a lot about Illinois' defense here recently. It's been a recurring theme, but they were able to really slow the Buckeyes when there was a moment there about 4 or 5 minutes to go that it looked like Ohio State might pull away, and E.J. Liddell would tally yet another win against the home state program. But for them to buckle down then, and I thought DeMonte Williams did a fantastic job making things tough for EJ. I do think with the Kyle Young injury, not going to play today with the concussion, it's going to be interesting to see what Chris Holtmann does matchup-wise. I'm not sure that he might just go all in on trying to play a smaller lineup, and maybe Illinois doesn't get that opportunity to put DeMonte on EJ a bunch. It might be a lot of EJ, Kofi Coburn. Kofi didn't have a dominant performance, 12 points, I think 6 rebounds in that matchup. So would look for him to build off of obviously what he did yesterday and just completely owning the matchup against Luka Garza. So Andre Curbelo as well, who really stole the show yesterday at both ends of the floor, those steals, those dunks. He had a great game in Columbus. Both he and Io finished with 19 points, and would look for Illinois yet again to try to get him to break things down, make some plays, and he's going to want to get that championship going up against former high school teammate Zed Key on the other side for the Buckeyes.
Derek, I feel like we know so much about E.J. Liddell, obviously 2-time Mr. Basketball in this state, and so much focus goes on him. But the guy that really impressed me yesterday was Dwayne Washington Jr. How much do you think Chris Holtmann relies on his guy there and his main guard to come out and say, hey, look, between C.J. Walker and Dwayne Washington Jr., you guys have to be the key if Illinois is going to try and shut down E.J.
Oh, a ton. Dwayne Washington, he's getting his clips up now. I mean, he's going to take anywhere from 15 to 20 shots in a given game. But when he performs like he did yesterday against the Wolverines, 24 points was a game high. He hit 5 threes, and this is a team that's been lethal from the outside. The last 2 games, Purdue and then against Michigan, they've totaled 23 threes made between those 2 games, and Dwayne Washington is clearly the driving force beyond that. I mean, he's got in the gym range, as they say, anywhere beyond half court, that guy is willing to put it up and be a threat to shoot it. Trent Frazier has done a pretty darn good job in the 2 matchups this season of making things tough on him and not giving him a whole lot of space to operate. But that's certainly going to be a key for Illinois is to get in his grill, not allow him those opportunities to make shots. Because I think for Ohio State, when you look at Illinois and how they're humming along here and so many things going right, they're going to have to make a lot of threes, and EJ's going to have to really exploit what has been a mismatch in their favor for a decent amount of since he's been in college so far.
What did you take away from the game yesterday against Michigan and Ohio State and Michigan? Because I felt like Michigan made this huge surge at the end. Ohio State was kind of this up and down roller coaster in a sense. What do you think Illinois can use from that game and seeing that scouting coming into today, Derek?
Yeah, I mean, Ohio State here has followed a familiar theme. They've been really, really good in the first half. And I know yesterday it kind of took that first 10 minutes of the second half for them to really go on a run and to make a lot of threes, and EJ was playing well. But the last 5 to 7 minutes of these games for the Buckeyes here recently, against Minnesota, against Purdue, against Michigan, gotten a little sweaty, or they haven't been able to close it. And even against Illinois and Columbus, as I mentioned, they were in a prime spot to really to take that game at home and to ride it out. But their execution hasn't been great late in the game. But I think when you look at Michigan, of course, Hunter Dickinson, you can see the comparisons to Kofi, because when you look at Ohio State, they don't have that legit center as far as 6'11", 7 foot, and trying to handle those kind of guys. So Kofi has to be fantastic today, be ready for a lot of attention. Would not be surprised if he sees a double team on every single catch going forward, and he's got to be able to operate effectively, whether that's passing it back out or just making a quick move and being able to finish.
As far as today, we obviously know they're playing for a Big Ten title, and that's significant in itself. Derek, do you think the selection committee already has Illinois on the seed line? Is there 2 different scenarios here? How do you see this playing out today with what Illinois could potentially be playing for? And I know we're talking very minuscule things here, whether Illinois could be an overall 2 seed, whether they're the 3 seed. I think they've solidified themselves as that. How do you think all of that is played out with that selection committee?
That's a great question, Brett. I know that they moved up to number 3 in the net rankings today. 12 quad 1 wins. We talked about that a lot here recently. Most in the country. That's 4 more than any of the other projected 1 seeds, Gonzaga, Baylor, Michigan. They are at the very worst, no matter what happens today, the 3rd 1 seed. So above Michigan, behind Gonzaga and Baylor, in my opinion. And I think if they win, particularly in an impressive fashion, maybe a double-digit victory, get that 13th quad 1 win, it'd be really hard to argue against them not, jumping over Baylor, who didn't finish the season all that spectacularly. Now Baylor on the other side, only 2 losses on the year, and they beat Illinois in the head-to-head matchup. So I think that's very intriguing and interesting. But like you said, the difference between the 2nd 1 seed, the 3rd 1 seed isn't that large. So I don't think there's a freak out in store if Illinois does sit at that 3rd line. But I agree. There are I've read some bracketologists out there that think that there's an opportunity to jump up to that number 2 overall, which, I mean, why not? Why not go get that today?
And the 2nd best team in the country, technically, it would be. I mean, that's absolutely, it's kind of unbelievable that we're saying that here today after just a couple seasons ago. Illinois is coming off the most losses, one of the worst seasons in program history, and here they are just with an exponential climb to the top. I think I know the bracket hasn't been released yet. I mean, we'll find that out today, but as far as getting the 2nd number 1 seed, I think it could ultimately, the 16 seed that they play might not make a difference, but I think there's a potential for them to get a pretty good 8 seed I don't know if you've studied your bracketology a lot, but is there maybe an 8 seed in there that would cause some problems for Illinois?
Yeah, I was checking Lenardi last night, and UConn's one that I wouldn't
Yeah.
want to see with James Bouknight and what he's been able to do as far as he's one of those players you highlight as, hey, if he gets on a heater in this tournament, it can be bad news for whoever you're going against. So he'd be one that I'd want to avoid. But yeah, outside of that, you're trying to slot in, and it is going to be all about matchups. It will be interesting to see. I know Missouri's a team that's on that
Yeah.
8-9 line. That would be highly intriguing, and the tournament committee does have kind of that tendency to play to the matchups, to play to the excitement. I wouldn't mind seeing that again. I don't think that Illinois would necessarily overlook them or just not get up for that game, which has been a head-scratching concern here in December the last couple of years. But why not? Yeah, we'll see how it shakes out. But I don't know. I don't think there's a huge difference, as we just discussed. And I think the 2-seed line is another one to look at as far as potential matchups as well.
Right. And Missouri scares me a little bit because we know how tough it is for teams to win and stitch wins together. And at this point in the season, that's what it is. You have to win in a row or you go home. And Illinois has been lucky this season, maybe just a brief losing streak mid-season. But every loss that they had, they kind of backed it up with a win, but getting these wins in a row is incredibly tough to do. Brad Underwood has said all year that they're not taking winning for granted. They're going to celebrate it. But Missouri, man, that would be a tough one. I think that would be a nail biter for Illinois fans to see in the NCAA tournament. But of course, Illinois trying to get a win here today and go for a Big Ten tournament trophy, Brett.
And I know this much, the fans would absolutely love to see Missouri again. I think that would be a phenomenal game for Illini Nation to see. It's cool and not taking this for granted, Marley, that we're sitting here today talking about this for, like you mentioned, statistically, it was the most losses in program history just a couple of years ago. And then to get to this point where you bring in Ayo DeSumo, you bring in Kofi Coburn, you bring in Adam Miller and Andre Carbello, and all of a sudden your program is absolutely changed. And it's not taking away from those other players that Brad Underwood has brought in. There's been some misses along the way, but overall his recruiting hits have been better than not, and that's why they're in the position they are today. I love the fans behind you too, Marley. I know you caught them a little bit there with the sign that said the real Big Ten champs.
The Batman.
And the Batman mask too from the other guy behind you. Illinois is going to have that opportunity today. How much do you think that plays into Illinois coming out with the purpose and on fire today, knowing that maybe they did, or at least they feel like they got slighted out of the regular season Big Ten title? How much does that play into today?
Yeah, I mean, they do feel that way, and Josh Whitman even admitted that he felt that way as well. Athletic director Josh Whitman just going to battle for these teams, writing an open letter on social media that he shared with the public about how he felt like these guys deserved a share of it. And I think it was all because of the Big Ten, deciding early on it was going to be winning percentage, but in an unprecedented time with an interesting season, with Michigan not being able to play all of their games, it really just kind of complicated things. And I think that's where Illinois fans and the players especially feel like they should have gotten a share of that. But you know what? Here they are playing on Sunday in the Big Ten tournament, the first time in more than a decade, and for them to kind of claim this title, I think says a lot. And as Michigan was leaving the court yesterday afternoon after their game, there were a couple Illinois fans in there for that session, and they were cheering as Michigan left the court. So I think if that says anything about where this fan base is, where this team feels like they are, I mean it says a lot.
This team has made no secret how important it is to get this trophy to, in their mind, prove to the world and to this league that they're the best team coming out of the Big Ten Conference. And we talked about it a lot. They felt robbed. They felt like they should have been at least co-champions. But you put all the teams in a tournament, there's no imbalance as far as opportunity and everything. So Illinois come out here with something to prove. I think you can see that all over their face with the way that they're playing right now. And this is going to mean a lot. I mean, just even listening to the players, they'll tell you flat out, hey, we want this. This is a goal that we've had. It comes with a trophy. It comes with a banner. And it just continues to further their momentum going into the tournament. Right now, I mean, they're as hot as anybody. So I think that when fatigue can really set in for both sides, in particular Ohio State playing 4 games in 4 days, but even for Illinois, this being the 3rd and 3, that's that in addition to the crowd, I think it's going to be obviously very pro Illini today, can push them through maybe those tough moments. And I do think that motivation of being the Big Ten tourney champs is going to be something that has them fired up from start to finish.
And it's so surreal. I know we keep saying it, that we could see Illinois just kind of cutting the net today, holding up a trophy, and it's truly, I mean, like an honor and a privilege to be here covering this team. A lot of media members, wait their whole career to do something like this. So I think, I don't know about you, but for me especially, it's definitely a special moment. At times, I think we get busy with all of the deadlines and the pressure and everything, but at the end of the day, I mean, I'm going to try to soak it all in as we see Illinois continue to make a historic run here in the Big Ten tournament and what they hope is going to be the NCAA tournament and beyond.
I see nothing but orange behind you. I would expect there will be some Ohio State red in there. Or what do they call it?
Oh, yeah.
Crimson or whatever the heck it's called. I don't know. The Ohio State. Excuse me, all of those Ohio State people. You can show up in my mentions.
Scarlet, have some respect, Brett.
Okay, yeah, see, there you go, Derek. Scarlet, I'm sorry. The Ohio State people can show up in my mentions like the Iowa people showed up in Marley's yesterday. It's all your fault, Marley. But I see nothing
fault,
but.
yeah.
I'm kidding, obviously. I see nothing but orange behind you. How much do you think the disparity will be in the crowd today between orange and scarlet? And I saw the tickets are just kind of outrageous for today. Yes, you should feel good. You're in for free, right?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Hey, that's why I call it like courtside seats for life. Obviously a little different this year with COVID and just not being able to sit up as close, but we get paid quite literally to sit and watch a basketball game. But yeah, ton of orange behind us, as you can see. And I think it was very evident in the Rutgers game, Brett, in Illinois' first round here at the Big Ten tournament, is that it really felt like a home game with there being so many more Illinois fans than Rutgers fans. I think yesterday may have been a little bit more balanced as far as Hawkeyes to Illini fans there, but especially what we're seeing right now, I don't know if maybe they have the Buckeyes going through a different gate, but I think the home atmosphere Illinois really thrives in. I mean, at the State Farm Center, a couple seasons ago, we've seen them pull really big upsets when the crowd is behind them. I mean, I think back to the season finale last season when they played Iowa. Brian, I know you were at that one, but you were probably there as well. I think really this team loves to feed off the crowd, and it's certainly evident this weekend.
This fan base, if they've proven anything, is that they will definitely come out and support a winner. They're hungry for this opportunity and to get back here, and they want to show out. They want to support, and it's been a show, and they're coming. I know personally, I have a couple of family members making the trip over from Champaign, and yesterday was eye-opening because I thought that Iowa, maybe not a 50-50 split, but maybe 60-40, and at least as far as the noise goes, it was a very audible difference between Illinois, the roar of that crowd, and Iowa. If yesterday was 70-30, today's 90-10, 95-5. I mean, Ohio State's probably tailgating for spring football right now, let's be honest. They're not interested in this.
Yeah, the Ohio State is certainly
the number
a
one
football
recruiting
school,
class.
right?
Sorry.
No, you're good, Mark. I was just saying the Ohio State football is way up here, and I'm pointing towards the ceiling. I feel like basketball is middling, maybe at best there. Even with a top 5 program, top 10 program in the country, it's certainly just not going to get the respect that football does. I did see some people tailgating earlier on Twitter. There was a couple of folks looked like in orange shirts out there on the tailgate. Did you guys see any of that walking in?
I did not see any tailgating, but I did see the DeSumo family pull up in a giant van. I mean, it was probably everyone, grandma, aunts, uncles, sisters, family, friends, like a 5-row van, and they just pulled through this gate. So I'm sure the DeSumos are happy to be in the building after they haven't been able to see many games so far this year. I don't know, did you see any tailgaters? Or?
I actually did. Around this
Oh, nice.
this corner of the building, there was a nice Weber grill, a bag set going, and Marley and I are going to have to stop by, get some burgers, and maybe toss a few bags, see if we can go on a nice little run here. But looks like a lot of fans are having a good time, which you can't blame them for that.
Okay, we got about 5-6 minutes left here on the Your Illini Nation pregame show before the Big Ten Tournament Championship. Illinois trying to make some more history. They've only been in this spot 7 times in program history. Now, dated back, the Big Ten Tournament didn't start until 1998. So it's not like they've been doing this for 100 years, but still, it's significant in that sense that the Illini are trying to make some history today. Only won the Big Ten Tournament Championship twice, and it hasn't happened since 2005. So there's some more on the line here. The other time was back in 2003 that they won it. Ohio State 2-2 in the Big Ten Tournament Championship game. And this is what it all comes down to for this team. We'll see how they respond today. Let's send it back out to Indianapolis, where Derek and Marley are live once again. The fans filling in behind you guys, and that has really filled up. When you guys started, there was almost nobody there in line. Now that space behind you is essentially full, and I know you're looking the other way here, so you can't see that, but it's been kind of cool to see that evolve behind you guys here. Derek, if there's a couple of things that Illinois has to do well today, what are they for them to win?
They have to contain the 3 as far as Ohio State, as we've mentioned, just the way that they've been able to make shots and go on runs, particularly in the first half. So get out and contest on EJ, especially when he's at the 5 spot. Kofi's got to be able to get out there and make things difficult. Now he shoots the mid-range exceptionally well too, and you mentioned Dwayne Washington, Justin Arns, who hasn't been the same guy that we saw in Champaign where he was burying a bunch of threes, but we know that he's capable of that. So getting out and making sure that Ohio State, which is a top 5 offense as far as efficiency in the country, is not humming early. That's a big key. Kofi, as far as just making the matchup hurt against Ohio State, they're not having Kyle Young, they're just not having that kind of physical size against him. And just continue the defense, continue to overwhelm them with your effort and your physicality. And I'd look for Ohio State maybe running out of gas a little bit in the second half. That would be something that if you're Illinois, that you would be trying to seek out, because they've had some really tense battles 3 days in a row, and it might start to stack up for them.
And I think keeping EJ Liddell at bay a little bit.
How did I not mention that one?
Won't hurt, but I remember just last time they played in Columbus, I just went on an absolute bender. I mean, a couple straight 3-pointers. So got a couple Go Illini behind us. But yeah, Brett, I think this team plays so well when they play locked in the whole game, and I think they've shown that throughout this Big Ten tournament. I mean, there really hasn't been like a big stretch where Illinois has maybe seen some kind of a downfall or a lapse of momentum, as maybe we've seen earlier on in the season. I think they've done a good job of when, the other team goes on, a 7-0, 8-0 run, that they get right back on them and really just dominate and show their opponent who's boss.
That's an interesting point you brought up, Derek, there about them playing so many games in a row, because we've seen this in title games before where you've got teams that have to win 4-4 or even 5-5. I remember that 98 team for Illinois that had to do that in trying to get to the Big Ten tournament title game. We see them just run out of gas. How much of a factor is that today, do you think, Marley?
Yeah, I mean, it gets very physical and mentally tough, especially when you're playing several days in a row and playing high-level basketball. I mean, I think back to Illinois' MTE, right, in the first week of the season, and it wasn't the kind of high-level basketball that we're seeing right now. So for Ohio State to have been playing all of these physical games late in the season, I mean, the same thing for Illinois. This is the highest level that they're going to see, and it's only going to get tougher as they head into the NCAA tournament. So I think it is as huge of a physical challenge as it is a mental one.
Yeah, I think it will be tough for Ohio State, having to go battle against Trevion Williams and Purdue, battle against Hunter Dickinson inside, and then to see Kofi, who's coming off of just a mammoth game against Iowa. I think that could be wearing as far as EJ and Zedke and those guys inside, as I mentioned many times, not having Kyle Young, who can kind of shoulder some of that burden. But you also think tired legs doesn't bode well for shooters, and this Ohio State team likes to make threes. They need that as part of their formula. So that's something to watch here. I do think that it could set in for Ohio State. And then you got the crowd kind of willing Illinois on. And I just wouldn't be surprised if Ohio State kind of is running on fumes there in the second half.
And I think they might rely a little bit on adrenaline. You know, their legs, as you mentioned, are going to be tired. They're going to be sore, but at the end of the day, they're fighting for a trophy, and I think that outweighs all of the physical and mental pain that they may be experiencing right now.
All right, guys, time for a pick. What do you think here? Illinois and Ohio State, the Big Ten Tournament Championship game. You can watch it right here on WCIA following the St. Bonaventure and VCU game that is being played right now, and that is 41-33. I'm watching here on our big story wall. We've got the game up here in the studio. It's about a, I don't know, 30-foot screen. It's fun to watch the game on. But you can see Illinois, Ohio State on WCIA starting about 2:30. Guys, what do you think? Who's coming out with the championship today?
I think it's going to be Illinois. My pick is in on them. Our predictions were a little bit closer than we were against Rutgers. My Iowa prediction was a little bit better. So I think I'm improving a little bit here. But my pick is Illinois. I think it'll be a close fought game till the end. I mean, we saw with Ohio State, they took Michigan to what played out to be, a late game situation for both teams, just trying to stay alive. I think it'll be a close one, but Illinois will pull away with the win. I'm going to go 79-76.
Okay, I like
Illinois.
it. I like it. I think that very high-level game early as far as both teams going up and down. I think Illinois does wear on them as the game goes on, and I have Illinois 80, Ohio State 69. I think it's a double-digit victory for Illinois, and they get that trophy to raise and sit back and watch Selection Sunday. Should be a special day for Illinois, potentially, if you get that win.
And celebratory that Brad Underwood just achieved his 69th win as well with the program, I think is the stat. But anyways, Brett, what do you got for today?
Be a nice win for Brad Underwood and this program if they can win that first Big Ten title since 2005 and for his career. I think Illinois is going to win this today. It's hard to pick against this team right now with everything that they've shown in the last really 3 weeks where this program has come. All their quad one wins, their victories on the road. Nothing is changing. They're still on the road here in Indianapolis through the NCAA tournament, and I think they're going to come out and win. Derek, I'm leaning towards you. I think it's going to be close in the first half. I do think the fatigue will really start to set in the second half. I'm going to pick Illinois 76, Ohio State 65. I think they're going to go away and win it down the stretch. I think they'll do a nice job containing this Ohio State attack, really with E.J. Liddell. I could see Dwayne Washington having a big game if they can somehow manage to double team Liddell or make it really tough for him. We'll see how it all plays out. And if our predictions are right, I think, like you guys mentioned, we were a little closer yesterday. On Friday, maybe not so much for our predictions, but I don't know how many people really saw Illinois hammering Rutgers by as many as they did. Guys, thank you for all your work in Indianapolis. It was fun. The regular season, quote unquote, is over now as the Illini are ready for the NCAA tournament after today. Last thoughts from there as you head into the stadium?
I mean, I'm just excited. I think we're going to see a great basketball game, maybe the best one we've seen all year. At least that's my hope. But Illinois playing for a lot right now and exciting to see as we've followed this team kind of since the beginning of the season and seeing how they've grown and how it's all paying off for them here in this moment. We know it's been a hard season for these guys with COVID tests and not seeing their family and being just kind of isolated from the outside world. They're here in this bubble as the rest of the world is buzzing and has all this excitement around them, and they're just kind of in their own little world. So I think this is a moment where it'll truly pay off for this team if they can get the win.
It'll be fun to see them get a little reflective. I know that Brad said he doesn't want to reflect till he's on a beach with a cigar sometime in the summer. Maybe it's a glass of wine at the team hotel later tonight. But just where this program has come from and to experience this kind of a high as far as going into the tournament with that kind of a seed and this much potential, they're right up there. I don't think you can say tournament title contender as far as the NCAA tournament without putting Illinois in that first breath with Gonzaga, with Baylor. There's no separation in my opinion, and they get to reward that. They get to celebrate that today, and then it's on to the big dance. It's something we've been waiting for a long time.
All right, well, that'll do it for the last time for the Big Ten tournament here at Lucas Oil Stadium. We'll have much more coming your way throughout the day. As always, you can follow Derek Piper's content on Illini Inquirer as well as right here on WCIA. But Brett, that'll do it for us here in Indianapolis. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Marley and Derek, thank you. Fantastic stuff from Indianapolis as the Illini look to make some more noise and add to what has already been a historic season. We'll see if they can come out and continue to add to that legacy today. The game is at 2:30 or thereabouts. It follows the St. Bonaventure VCU game that is ongoing right now. About 11 minutes left in that game. CBS leads right into the coverage of the Big Ten tournament. Jim Nantz, Bill Rafferty, love to see Raf on there. Grant Hill and Tracy Wolfson on the call. Should be a fantastic game, and we will have it covered, as Marley Winch mentioned, both on our digital channels here as well as on air. We won't be on until late tonight, but nobody wants to see us or think about that. Everyone already locked into this game today at 2:30. The selection show then follows Illinois, Ohio State on WCIA. So just keep it tuned to WCIA all day. We'll have all sorts of coverage. I know the Grammys are on a little bit later tonight. Maybe a little different audience going to be invested in that. I know Illini fans will be all about getting to their brackets, getting it filled out. A lot of people are going to have Illinois, just like in 2005, pegged to win the national title. And we will have it covered all along, just like we have the entire season, both on air and online. For Marley and for Derek, I'm Brett Behrens. We'll see you both on WCIA.com, on air WCIA, and also check out Illini Inquirer. Derek's got plenty of coverage over there with Jeremy, both covering it from Indianapolis. We'll see you after the game. The post-game press conference will be streamed right here on these same digital channels, and we'll see you then for the selection show at 5 and on the WCIA 3 News after the Grammys.